Now, looking at the McCormick and Alderman intersection, you can see I'm on the next file copy. You should be as well. We're going to go through largely the same process. So we're going to start by creating an intersection, selecting the intersection point. Here we're going to select the main road as Alderman, but that's more of a formality than anything because we're going to be changing that here in a second. So I renamed the intersection, but now instead of maintaining the primary crown, we're going to do all crowns maintained. You can kind of see the difference of what that does in that helpful little graphic there. So now, moving on, here we will actually be changing the offset and the curb return parameters this time. For the offset parameters, make sure all of your road widths are 13 feet. Click OK. And now for the curb return parameters, we're going to assign all of our lane widening that we need. So most of these just have a turning lane, a incoming turning lane, but the outgoing lane is still just one road or one lane, sorry. So we don't need to widen any of the lanes for outgoing road, but we do need to widen the turn lanes for the incoming road. You can see it's broken up by quadrants. So we can do that per quadrant, which is important because this southwest quadrant here, from McCormick to Alderman, right where Ohill is, there is no extra turning lane, right? That one lane does straight, left, and right. So we don't need to do anything there. For the other three quadrants, though, we are adding a right turn lane. So we're going to widen the turning lane for the incoming road. After we do that, I'm going to actually expand this design dialog UI blocks, whatever you want to call this. I'm going to expand it, and I am going to widen change the widening segment length. So let's find that widening segment length, changing that from 100 feet to 45. 100 feet is pretty standard practice, I think. Like, it's a decent length for most high-speed roads, but this is a lower speed road with a lower speed road, and there's just not a lot of space in the area, so 100 feet is way too big. Also going to change the transition length from 30 or 100 feet to 30. And you can see what that is. The transition length is how long it takes or how far it takes to get to its max width. And then the widening length is how long it stays there until it starts turning. And then the offset value is the actual width of that lane. So we're just going to keep that as 10. So this looks pretty good to me. We're going to do that same thing for the other two quadrants of southeast and northwest. I'm just going to click next. Widen for incoming road. Change the transition length to 30. And change the widening segment length to 45. You can see here you can also select different transition types as well as different curb returns, but we're going to keep those all as stock or base settings for now. Again, we're skipping the southwest quadrant, it's the one over here, and then repeating the same thing for the northwest quadrant. So it's going to be 45, and then this is going to be 30. Okay, so we are good to go there. I'm going to check my lane slope parameters, just make sure all of them are at 2%. Looks good to me. And for the curb return profiles, we're just going to make sure that all of the transitions are 25 feet going into and out of the lane. So this is 25 and that's 25. Looks good. Also 25, also 25, and also 25. So those are just the defaults, but you shouldn't need to change them, but it's good to check them, just in case. We're going to go through the same process of adding it to our existing corridor, making sure we're daylighting it to the right object, and assigning what sections we can already. So we're gonna keep some of these the same for our primary road, that is Alderman. We're gonna put this as the sidewalk. Again, we will be deleting these half sections. I don't really know what the use of these is for unless you have, specific uh, design work to do on each side of your intersection. That's where it's, could be helpful. Ours, we don't. For the secondary road section, I'm going to assign this also as the full sidewalk, but we're going to have to change this after we create the intersection. Right. When I create it, it's going to chug along a little bit. It has to build the entire thing. And there you can see the intersection. If your intersection doesn't show up, you can try to rebuild it on the left side, or you can also use the regenerate command. That works pretty well as well. I recommend REA, regen all, over REGN, which is just regen. So now we're going to go through a similar process and get our corridor looking and our intersection looking exactly how we want it to. But first, I'm going to open it in the model viewer so we can examine it. So you can see here, the different sections really throws off, the way that it widens and what the sidewalks look like. So we need to fix those and also reduce a lot of the overlap that's going on. So first thing I'm going to do is get everything to line up. So I'm going to extend the diamond grips. I think it's easier to move your existing road corridor to your intersection, but I think technically you can do it either way. There we go. That's the north side and the west side done. Let's do the east side now. So I think this needs to be pulled back way over here. Yep. And lastly, I'm mostly just trying to look for the diamond grip that is at the end of the created line work here. So if I select the line, you can see what diamond grip kind of corresponds to it. So now I'm pulling back the road section instead of the intersection. You can also see what these curb returns look like. Now that we've cleaned up the intersection a little bit, you can see that the lanes that it makes, and if we had the outgoing widening option as well, it would be widened here until it tapers based on what values we put in. But that doesn't exist for this roadway, so we didn't need to do that. And also note the absence of that curb return, the widening on the incoming right here in the southwest quadrant. Now we're going to do a similar thing, update our assemblies and update what's showing up here. I'm going to come up here and see what else was made and drag these also into our box. You can see our rectangle is far too big now, so maybe I will shrink it down a bit. Right like that. That way all of our assemblies live in one easily defined place. And looking at these half sections, I know that we're not going to use them, so I will not bother updating them. Instead, what I will do is go to the corridor properties, to the parameters tab, and here's where we can figure out what we want to update here. So I think coming all the way down here to the bottom, this is where our new sections are. That looks to be right. This west side of McCormick Road needs to be just the one sidewalk on the right side. So I'll change that over. Next, I know I don't want these half sections here. There's one here, and then the other one is on the other side. So I'm gonna update the right sidewalk here to go to, instead of ending here, I want it to end here. Does that make sense? So I'm gonna take this station number, the end of the half section, make it the end of the sidewalk section, and then delete that half section by removing it. I use Control C and Control V to copy and paste. I'm gonna do a similar thing for the other side, if I can get a good enough view about it. I'm going to take the start here, because I'm going west to east. Take the start one, assign it to the start of the sidewalk. I think it's not within a valid range, I think because it extends too far, given that this section exists. So I'm just going to copy this, remove it, and then paste it. And that worked out fine. I'm going to do a similar process here. I know I don't actually want this one to be the retaining wall. I want to keep it as just a sidewalk, so that's okay. Again, going to get rid of this half section, so I'm going to copy and paste and delete. And I will copy this, delete it, and then paste it in here. So I'm just gonna see where that gets us to. So I am going to hit apply and OK. The first thing I'm gonna do though, or the thing I'm gonna do before I do that though, is just make sure I'm setting all my targets. They should all be set, but just in case they aren't, I'm gonna make sure they all are. It looks like one updated here, which is good. And now I can hit apply and rebuild. And OK. And let's see what that looks like here. So my roadway looks pretty good to me. That's looking right. My curb returns look good. We have 3 of them. And the sidewalks seem to be lining up. But let's take a look at this in the model viewer and see what it looks like. That looks good to me. This is funny because the sidewalk goes to nowhere. But that's pretty true of what actually happens. I'm going to change this section to be the full cross section with the sidewalk on both sides. And then the sidewalk will end right here. But just look around, see if there's anything else that looks out of place. Check that your curbs are aligned. This one is a little bit off, so it's possible that I might need to tweak that a little bit. If you have little things off like this, though, it's not that big of a deal, so don't worry about it too much. So yeah, let's go through and see what I can do here. I will go back to the corridor and change McCormick Road to be right here, the full sidewalk road section. The next thing I'm going to do is look at the curb returns, all of these stations, and just make sure they're filling in exactly what I want them to be doing. So I think that might have caused the misalignment here, is the curbs aren't lining up correctly. I'll open this up and start with one of the curb returns. Let's see, what are we looking at? This one. So I want this to cover the full turn, and I don't know actually where it starts and ends, so I'm gonna use the selection tool to do that for me. So I'm also gonna come here and change the frequency of some of these curb returns. 5 feet is a lot, and I want them to be a little bit more accurate than that. I'm going to change that to every 2 feet. Curb returns. And I might need to do that for every single one. I might also be able to just set all my frequencies. 5 for tangent, 2 for curve, or maybe I'll do 1 for curve. I just update all of them. But like I said, I want to make sure I select the start and end points correctly. So Alderman and Treehouse. I'm going to go to Alderman and McCormick, my first curve return, and pick a starting point. You can see the station number. I'm on the top end, so I want to pick the high station number here. And I want it to end here. And I'm just going to do a similar thing for the other ones. So I'm just picking past where it's ending right now, so that way, and we can adjust this as we need, but I want to make sure it covers the entire curb. I am doing this by trying to look out for the like dark solid black lines that the curb makes. So like it ends over here, so I might try to select close to it. I'm going to rebuild now and just see what that did. So it can take a little bit to render your full thing, but know that this is way faster than doing it by hand, which is great. So now let's add this to the model viewer and see what everything looks like. Looking at my curves now, still not lining up exactly, and that's because I need to now pull this one back to here, I think, and that might help with the alignment issues here. Because you can see at the start of the curve it's lining correctly, but at the end of it, it's not. See the same thing here? Actually, this one looks pretty good to me. It's a little bit off. And then it would be on this side. Looking pretty good to me. So what do I mean by that? I can take this section, I think, here, and pull it back so it matches the end of the curve return here. And then I can pull the curve return on the other side back so it matches here. You can see that fills in correctly. One of the weird things about doing it this way, I will say, is if I now try to regenerate my intersection, it might stay. I've had it not always stay the way I want it to, though. So I'm just going to update, rebuild, and when you do that, it might not rebuild the way you want it to. So you can see it, now it reset it, and that's not correct. If I view this, you'll see what's wrong with it. There's no sidewalk here. It added that half section back in, which I didn't want it to do. So that's why I try to not use the diamond grips to update the curbs and instead do it all through the parameters selection box. So I'm going to come back here, find those half sections and get rid of them by doing the same updating process. Stations. This is why a lot of professionals don't use the intersection tool. But again, it works for this project. Oh, I deleted the wrong section here. I'm going to actually hit cancel. So I want to copy it there and remove the half region. And then copy the starting point here, remove the half region, update it here, do the same thing here. And now looking at my curve returns, I'm going to update the stationing again like I just did. So this is my northeast one. I want it to end wherever the line work seems to be ending over here. The same here. I think it's better to go a little bit past, as I mentioned. Southwest one. And then for my northwest one. Okay, now that I did that, I'm going to update the stationing for the road segments that are here. So just so they match, and that way we don't have that overlap. I'll start with McCormick Road here. And if I select the northwest quadrant here, I can see where that ends. And I want this to end in a similar location as this, which is kind of nebulous, but I can just try my best. So I want this to end about where I ended the other one. Maybe there. For this one, for the east side, it's going to be the starting station, right? Maybe here. I don't remember exactly where I did it, but I can update these as I need to. And then going south to north, going to be the end of the bottom section. And then the start of the top section. So let's just see what that looks like. You can see how this is a finicky process to get it lined up exactly the way you want it. If you're not concerned with it being exact, you don't have to do this whole thing. Okay, so I'm close in some places. Not exact. From here, I think I can just adjust the curb returns and be okay. So the northeast needs to start back here and end up here. It's overlapping a little bit right now. The southeast, I'm going to do the same thing. Want it to start here and then end where it joins the next road segment here. Southwest, I'm doing the same process, figuring out which side is starting on here. Aligning it up. So make sure you have your object snapping on here. It's going to help a lot. Adjusting the ending to line up there. And then for my last curb return on the northwest side, doing the same thing. I highly recommend using a mouse for this. Trying to get it to snap to a point on the station. All right, now I'm going to rebuild it, hopefully one last time. Looks like I'm really close. I think I just have this one left. So the southwest one didn't seem to work quite as I wanted it to. All right, that looks like it worked to me. Let's now open this up inside of the model viewer and take a glance at it. You can see the whole intersection. And you can also notice that like it's not that different compared to what we had so it might not have been worth that much work just to get things to line up a little bit more. Um, so know that you don't need to have it be perfect or like spot on the way I did it. But definitely go through the process of modeling both intersections, finding the right assemblies, pulling back some of those diamonds, making sure the targets are set. And as part of your submitting process, you're going to submit both plan sheets of this entire corridor surface as well as some of these model pictures using this model viewer of your intersections and your roadway. All right, you're almost on the home stretch here. Got 2 more videos, and those mostly just have to do with creating surfaces out of these corridors. So I'll see you there.